All views and opinions expressed in this podcast are not meant to offend or hurt the sentiments of, including but not limited to, any person living or dead, religion or ethnic group, community or country. The primary purpose of this podcast is to build a cultural bridge and shed a light on the similarities we share with our friends from across the border.
A very good evening and welcome to our podcast 883 to Infinity. My name is Suvir Bajaj and I'm sitting with Umair Qazi in Karachi, and we're bringing to you live this podcast that aims to bridge the gap between the youth of India and Pakistan. Welcome, Umair.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I am sitting in Karachi, and Suvir is sitting in Mumbai. Stating the obvious. Sorry. Suvir doesn't like it when I call it Mumbai. It's actually Bombay. Isn't that correct, Suvir?
That's correct. That's what we refer to it here in Bombay.
Okay, cool. So what we thought was that as we begin this podcast, we'll be a little less pompous about ourselves, and we'll try to introduce each other rather than introduce ourselves. So me and Suvir have been speaking about this for a while now. So I've got some of the things that I can list from the top of my head that I know about them. So I know that Suvir is a Sindhi, right?
That's
I know Suvir runs a very successful media company called Zoo Media. I know that Suvir went to a Sindhi something school, college, right?
College, that's right.
Do I have these things right, Suvir?
Yeah. So far, so good. Keep going.
I know that Suvir had a really cool, kick-ass sort of mustache, but then he changed it and now he's sitting without mustache, looking very awkward in front of me. Of course, you guys can't see. Luckily, an audio-only podcast. Uske alawa, yaar, main bhool gaya. Aur batao, why don't you expand?
Okay, cool. Let me introduce Umair and then we can fill in the blanks on our bios a little bit. I've known Umair now for 12, 14 years since I met Umair during our Model United Nations days while Umair was in the Lahore University of Management Sciences. Am I right, Umair? Umair is also a Sindhi, Karachi boy, lives in Karachi with his family, has a young 5-year-old son called Nail, who's currently being homeschooled, and we'll talk more about that later. Umair got married very, very young, and he made two big decisions in his 20s. The first was to get married young, and the second was to become an entrepreneur very young. Umair is also a very successful ad guy as well and runs his own agency, one of the leading independent agencies in Karachi called Ishtihari, of course, which has story behind the name itself, which I'll let Umair tell him for himself.
Also, I forgot to mention, so Suvir is obviously has a much better memory than me, or he can read our show notes better. I'm just sort of ignoring them. But yeah, let me speak a little bit about Ishtihari. So Ishtihari is an agency that I made in 2011 with my partner. Yeah, so we've got a funny name, just like Suvir's agency, Foxy Moron. So we've got a funny name. The story behind our name is that wo Ishtihari can be taken two ways. So there's Ishtihari, matlab Ishtihar se nikla hua, which is advertising. But the name that, the meaning that we subscribe to is Ishtihari Mujrim. So which is this sort of colloquial meaning, colloquial expression, which means runaway, renegade, that sort of stuff. So, whenever we go, we get some funny looks when we go to our clients for the first time. They're like, "Haan, yaar, tum log ne kya bakwas naam rakha hai?" But, then we tell them the story and we go like, you want someone who should be able to break some rules and bend some rules for you. So that's who we are. Suvir, what is up with Foxy Moron?
Well, as far as the name is concerned, I mean, you know how it is, right? When you work in advertising and branding, it's always easy to crack the client's brief before it is easy to crack your own brief. So when we started in 2008, our brief, of course, was that we wanted something quirky. We wanted something that people would remember. It's something that people would click on when they see something pop up on, on Google when you're searching for an agency. And, Pratik, my partner, coined this name Foxymoron, which of course is a, derivative of the word oxymoron. And an oxymoron by definition means a contradiction. Pretty ugly is an oxymoron. And ironically for us, that Foxymoron is also an oxymoron, because a fox is witty and, well, a moron is, well, let's say not so witty. So we kind of bring the foxy and the moron to advertising and to digital. And that's always been our formula. And it's also a larger contradiction to the age-old narrative that in order to run a successful ad agency, you need to have 35 years of experience, you need to have silver hair, etc. Digital is the contradiction to advertising, right? We say that we are challenging everything that advertisers and marketers have known for the last 40 years, and which is why Foxymoron is the biggest oxymoron by itself.
Whoa, trippy. Very meta, man. Okay. When you get silver hair, will you kick yourself out or what?
Well, silver hair starts... yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. It starts in your 30s as well. Both hair fall and hair loss and silver hair both start in your 30s. No, but I think that's a sign of maturity for us, and we're beginning to start grooming the...
कोई और करे तो maturity नहीं, हम करे तो maturity. सही है यार, चलता है, अभी कोई मसला नहीं. So,
Nahin,
but
nahin, absolutely.
contrary to our intro, though, so this is decidedly Suvir and I are not doing an ad man sort of podcast. So the reason we're doing this podcast is three things: content, culture, and creativity. So that's what we're going to focus on. It's not necessarily us shooting the shit in terms of ye marketing or falana namka. This is just an introduction for us. So the podcast is called 883 to Infinity. This isn't the first name that we came up with, by the way. हमारे पास बहुत crazy नाम थे, लेकिन वो फिर थोड़े से side track हो गए because of unknown reasons. So 883 is how many kilometers there are between where Suvir is sitting right now, which is Bombay, not Mumbai, and Karachi. So the whole theory behind this podcast is, even though it's just a relatively small distance, and the two cities are actually sister cities. So Bombay and Karachi have had a long-standing link. But as it stands today, right now, there's this sort of perception gap between the two cities and more wide on a wider scale between the two countries, India and Pakistan. So what we're trying to do here on 883 to Infinity is try to, cut through that infinity. And it's not just a content platform. Through these experiences, Suvir and I are also beginning to understand each other, to know each other better. So we've known each other for a while now, but never have we been able to speak that closely, that directly. So we're figuring out new things and finding those similarities and appreciating those differences between ourselves. So it's both an exercise and some content that we're creating for you guys as well.
Yeah, and on the subject of content, Umair, I think it's a good idea to also give people a background in terms of where we came up with this idea as well. Of course, lockdown, and we've been sitting at home, caged up, etc., for the last few months, and there's been a lot of free time, to spend reading, catching up with history, culture, politics, of course, and obviously one thing that we do is we binge a lot of OTT content, and a lot of the content that we've been consuming, etc. Of course, because of the existing ideological and political conditions that our countries do currently have, there's a lot of content that we consume both in the news and media as well as in pop culture as well that makes constant references to our country. And the irony of this situation is that despite the fact that we are neighbors and despite the fact that we have a variety of similarities which we'll go on to explore during the first season of this podcast, the media continuously paints a very different picture, and as a result has a very a very distorted image of each other's countries in the minds. And while of course it's understandable with generations that have seen partition firsthand and have seen the difficulties that it brought with it, I think the narrative needs to change very drastically for our generation today. And more compelling so because 2006 I visited Lahore at a great time, getting firsthand integrated into people, culture. 2008 you guys visited Bombay, and we'll talk more about that specifically. And we really got a first-hand opportunity to experience the similarities in people, culture, heritage, hospitality, etc. Nevertheless, the very responsible media today in both our countries seems to be telling a very different story. So for all our listeners, I think the intention of this podcast really is for us to really bridge the gap between the youth, to open a dialogue, to open a narrative, to explore the similarities, and to really celebrate the differences as well. I mean, we're not going to hide behind curtains here as well, but we're to really celebrate the differences as well. And we'll do this with the lens of art, culture, creativity, heritage, with all the right messaging for the youth, so that we as champions of our societies therefore can start building the right conversations and open the right bridge to hopefully build the gap between our two nations.
Yeah, absolutely. This overarching sort of dushman wala narrative has to go, man. And hopefully this can be a step in the right direction. But let's start from where we are. So हम वो कहते हैं ना को cobblers children problem, वो ad agency वाले लोग अपना काम सही नहीं करते, मगर nonetheless वो we speak about evergreen content, and then we speak about what's relevant right now. For example, listeners, we tried to record this episode once earlier as well, but उस वक्त हमें इससे भी कम चीजें पता थी, so हमने बहुत अजीब अजीब बातें कर ली थी. But nonetheless, so let's start with where we are right now. So what's going on, where you're sitting right now? How is the situation in vis-a-vis the difficult time that we're in, where all of us are in?
So it's been the same for the last 6 months, to be honest. We've been at home lockdown for as good as 6 months now. India has now, I think, quickly become the second highest country exhibiting cases, and offices have been closed, and there's been some semblance of things opening up around the country now, but we're still doing 90,000, 100,000 fresh cases a day, and we've crossed now 1,000 deaths a day. And there's a lot of nervousness with regards to getting around in the city, getting around the country. Of course, big cities have been hit the most. Work saw, a massive landslide over the first 3, 4, 5 months of the financial year. Things seem to be picking up now. We got the IPL around the corner. We've got festive around the corner with Diwali and wedding, etc. So things seem to be picking up as far as business is concerned. The economy was in a massive slump. I'm sure everyone read about it. The first quarter, our economy shrunk by 23.5%, which is the worst condition that it's been in for several years at the moment. So there's a general sense of nervousness, I think, in the atmosphere, and things haven't eased up a bit in Bombay or in India. How is it like in Karachi?
Yeah, to be honest, Suvir, I'm not as well versed with the numbers as you are. So I just have a scale of like a binary scale. A phati, B nahi phati. तो अभी फटी हुई है. Despite the fact that as it's being reported right now, Pakistan isn't in as much trouble as it could have been in terms of the cases, but still there's this sort of lurking gloom and doom that something is bubbling under the radar somehow, and we're just not being able to figure it out, because obviously in neighboring countries में इतना ज़्यादा problem है तो यहाँ पे भी होगा. And I'm beginning to see that people are getting a little more lax in terms of not wearing masks and just being a little loose with the SOPs, which I hope won't be a problem. And hopefully all of us, like India, Pakistan, the entire region, the continent, the whole world, can actually get out of this and learn a very valuable lesson. And it could be a very interesting story when we had like 100 episodes or something, we go like, हाँ यार कितना मुश्किल दिन थे सुवीर, मगर चलो अच्छा हुआ हमने podcast तो शुरू कर लिया, उसका कुछ तो फायदा हुआ. So that's what this is supposed to be.
Absolutely.
Alrighty.
Yeah, but I think this work from home situation has, at least made people connect with their families a lot more. A lot of people are back home. I'm home with my folks right now. So everyone's connecting with their families and, kind of finding their roots, finding time to spend with family and figuring out what's important, just by virtue of the fact that circumstances have gotten so difficult. So you want to be around people that are familiar, comfort zone, etc. You were mentioning as well that now you're close to your folks as well, move back to a part of the city that's close to them.
Yeah. So my folks actually went through this whole thing, right? So they contracted the virus and now they're better now. But yeah, so I specifically moved to a bigger place simply because, we needed the extra space because, in case one of us needs to be isolated, so we need the extra room. So that's going on right now. And Suvir, I wanted to know, so like I said, so this podcast is something that we are using to explore each other as well. I know that you live somewhere on Malabar Hill, right?
That's correct.
Is that it?
That's right. Yeah.
So what's that about? What's that like? So I did visit Bombay a while ago, and we'll get to that in a while. But can you give me a little context just for everybody on this side of the border that is living there? So what's it like? What's the area like? What's going on there? What else is there?
So Bombay is also a coastal city, pretty much like Karachi, and we have the coast. The Bombay was actually originally a combination of 7 islands put together by the Portuguese, and I live on the
7 islands. I had no idea.
Yeah. Bombay was actually 7 islands originally. In fact, if you drive from the south to the north of the city, you can still see where one island ends and the next island begins. And you have the ocean that kind of runs in, the Arabian Sea actually, not the ocean, that runs into creeks. And you've got a Worli Creek and a Mahim Creek, etc. And these creeks effectively are where one island ends and the next island starts. And of course, now all these islands have been joined by modern infrastructure and construction and stuff like that. So I live in the southern part of the city, like you mentioned earlier, called Malabar Hill. And I live actually literally down the street from a very large UNESCO World Heritage Site called Jinnah House. Yeah, which was the house of Muhammad Ali Jinnah when he lived in Bombay. It's a beautiful structure, Obviously, of course, it's not as well maintained now because it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and there's a lot of security, etc., around at all points of time. It's actually bang opposite the Chief Minister of Maharashtra's house. So believe it or not, the Jinnah House and the Chief Minister of Maharashtra is the state that Bombay is in, live a stone's throw away from each other. Literally a stone's throw away from each other. We also have the religious, the leader of the religious sect, the Bohris, also lives literally in the street right across from them. So it's an interesting part of the city. A lot of cultural diversity in that regard. A lot of ministerial presence as well. So lots of cops patrolling at all points of time, which is a good thing in a way, because on one hand, it's a very safe and secure part of the city. On the other hand, we make sure that we never get any power outages or, we've always got free flowing water in that regard. So lucky in that context. We have three parks literally in our backyard. Some of the most beautiful gardens in Bombay. We've got the Hanging Gardens of Bombay, and then we've got, the Kamala Nehru Park, which has the old shoe from, or the old Mother Hubbard nursery rhymes back in the day. And then we got another
Whoa.
park down the hill as well. So it's a lovely part of the city. I think you guys visited briefly when you were in Bombay as well, right?
यार तब तो मुझे बिल्कुल याद नहीं है. तो मैं बहुत बेवकूफ था. अभी भी हूँ मगर तब इससे भी ज़्यादा बेवकूफ था. But I'd like to know a bit more. So I know that you are Sindhi. Can you expand on that a little bit? So where did your grandparents come from? Like what are your roots like?
So my grandparents, of course, all came from undivided India. At the time, there was, no border, and all came to India in, I would say, the 40s, at different points of time in the 40s. My grandfather and my grandmother from my dad's side grew up in a small town called Shikarpur in the district of Sakhar in Sindh. And my grandfather from my mum's side was from Karachi. My grandparents, I think, moved here around the time of partition. And my grandparents from my dad's side came straight to Bombay. My grandmom from my mom's side was in Lucknow for a while. And my grandfather from my dad's side, his family split up all over, right from Bombay to Chennai to Bangalore, and pretty much had, a national footprint. When my grandparents came here, actually, they had naturally, like most migrants during the time of partition, had a very difficult time, actually. My grandmom's 95. She's still with us. In fact, I'm at home with her right now. And she tells me stories of partition. And, when they came over, my granddad and his 6 brothers, and their parents and their respective wives, they were all living in, a small 800 square foot flat. And literally there was no place for them to sleep, and they would be sleeping in the kitchen in the night. That's how, how they had to kind of compromise with space. And, of course, there were a lot of people who came who couldn't even buy houses because, of course, buying a house involved cash. And we obviously left everything that we had back in Sindh. And, and Sindhis, by virtue of, the legacy were typically landowners and, money lenders, etc. Can't bring any of those assets back with you. So you're literally coming with the clothes on your back and whatever money you can put in your pocket. Of course, there were a lot of Sindhis who came who didn't have the luxury of being able to buy houses, etc. Set up very, very large refugee camps in the northern parts of the city, etc. Ulhasnagar, Chembur, which have now, of course, become large Sindhi-dominated localities. The refugee camps were then developed and became localities in that regard. But yeah, my grandparents came here in the 40s, and my dad was born here in the 50s. My dad was first generation Bombay. I was born here in the 80s, a second generation Bombay. Bombay's been pretty much home to me, to my parents all their life. My parents were born here as well. So we kind of, relate to the city as our first home, and I'm third generation in Bombay in that regard. But yeah, that's the story of my grandparents, having moved here along with, I guess, millions of other Sindhis and Punjabis who did cross the border at that point of time. And and came to this side of the border. Of course, having said that, there was very little going for Sindhis. We didn't really have homes. We didn't have land. We didn't have a sense of belonging when we came here. The displacement obviously creates a lot of instability and a lot of uncertainty in terms of your survival and your future in that regard. So it led to a very strong sense of community, because we didn't necessarily have, hometown of our own in that regard. Wherever we kind of gathered, there was a strong sense of community to kind of look out for each other and help each other, give back to society as far as possible, kind of be philanthropic in that nature, kind of invest in community related activities. Like you mentioned earlier, I went to a Sindhi college, and, a lot of the good colleges in Sindhi, in Bombay are actually run by Sindhis, owned by Sindhis or Sindhi trusts, to, with the spirit of really giving back to society and to community to really help the development and the upliftment of the race that was displaced and uprooted during the time of partition that came here today.
That's really interesting because it's a bit of a contrast to what it feels like to be a Sindhi. At least, of course, this could be just my personal opinion. But here, so I live in Karachi. Karachi is in Sindh, but it's not. It's basically a metropolitan city. Everybody is everybody speaks Urdu. Even if, like, for example, if I go somewhere and I know someone else is Sindhi, I will probably converse with them in Urdu, which is a national language, rather than Sindhi. Mm-hmm. So, all through my life, for example, growing up, in school and stuff. So when anybody would find out that I'm Sindhi, तो वो उनके पास 2-3 ही घिसे पिटे किस्म के वो होते हैं. सिंधी में कुछ बोल के बताओ, तू जो नालो छाए. बस इसकी permutation combination, तू बोल रहा है, तू जो नालो बोल रहा है, बस यही चलती रहती थी. Otherwise, like, my friends still to this day go like, यार तू क्या, what kind of a Sindhi are you? Like a fake Sindhi or what? Because you don't have that gold Rado watch.
Hmm.
You don't have the guards, you don't have the big moochies, and then zamindar, like वो हमारे पास stereotype जो सिंधी का बन गया है, true or
Hmm.
false, I'm not sure,
Hmm.
is slightly different. So probably this has something that has got to do. So there is, in at least on this side, if you go into the interior of Sindh, you will still find that sort of culture there in terms of literature, in terms of poetry, in terms of music, Sufism, all of that. It's there. But overall, once you come to the cities, when someone finds out you're a Sindhi, it's not necessarily a very positive thing. They go like, it must be like loaded from somewhere else. And it's like, it's probably has something to do with the migrant thing, right? So because
Hmm.
on this side of the border, the migrant community, the people that came from India called Muhajirs, well, they're not directly Muhajirs anymore, but their grandfathers were perhaps, or their grandparents were. So they are known to have that sort of drive in them. I
Hmm.
don't mean to play the ethnic card here. Of course, every person is different. And, you can't judge someone by how their fathers or their community is living, but overall you do see that sort of ethics. So in places of prime business importance, in places of bureaucracy, you'd see that this migrant class is actually pretty well established now. And I'm sure they weren't, just like you said. So just
Hmm.
like your grandparents, when they came here, they probably had to go through that adversity, and that put them, at the moment it seemed pretty bad to them, I'm sure,
Hmm.
but because of that adversity, they probably got that sort of drive to actually go ahead, equip themselves with the right sort of education or skills or
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
And so that's why I think overarchingly, the whole, no matter what kind of a trouble we find ourselves in right now, I'm sure, like our kids will be like, हाँ यार उनके साथ बड़ा मसला था वो सुवीर और उमैर लोग जब वो जनरेशन थी, बट देखो अब उसकी वजह से इतना अच्छा हो
Correct. No,
गया.
absolutely. I mean, the next generation always has it better than the next. And frankly speaking, the grass is always greener on the other side, right?
Ah.
No, and in fact, I remember in the winter of 2006 when we came over to Lahore, I remember, coming back and I remember telling my parents that, next family holiday we go to, we have to go to Pakistan because the grass is so much greener there. And I mean, we had a lovely time, right? And it was such a uplifting experience. And, just for all our listeners, in 2006, myself, along with 10 friends of mine, we went to Lahore, to the Lahore University of Management Studies for the Lahore
Sciences, not studies. Sciences,
Sciences,
okay.
excuse me,
Ah,
for the Lahore
apologize.
University Model United Nations. The MUN is a mock United Nations simulation in which college students participate representing various different countries in a United Nations style debate, parliamentary debate, trying to resolve world issues. And the Luman was, an international conference held by the students in LUMS, and there were two delegations from India, one from Bombay and one from Delhi. And myself, along with 10 friends of mine from Bombay, were representing India. Well, representing India, but not representing India in the conference. And we were hosted by Umair and a variety of other friends, and it was such a lovely experience. I remember because and it's a pity we didn't actually end up coming to Karachi, because you talk so fondly about Karachi and the similarities of Karachi, but of course came down only to Lahore. But such an enlightening experience, to have crossed the border. Of course, I remember when I broke the news to my folks, there was an equal amount of excitement, and there was equal amount of a little bit of nervousness as well. Going across the border, and it was always like it's always been a India Pakistan thing. Like you have a Pakistani
Ah,
visa stamp on your passport, will you be able to travel
up
anywhere
to there.
else? And right from obtaining the visa, I remember Pratik, my business partner, now business partner, and we stayed back in Delhi for 2 weeks. And I remember we went to the consulate every day, and we tried to, convince the consulate general, saying, please, no students hai, hame jaane do. We're going for the right reasons. We're going for the right intentions. And then finally, after 2 weeks of convincing him, he finally let us, go, and he gave us a diplomatic passport at the end of the day, which was
Well,
awesome. I remember, it eventually made crossing the border so much easier than we expected it to be. Not that crossing the border was an easy experience at all. We, as young 18-year-old children, decided to ride the Samjhauta Express, which was the train that
oh my
came from
God.
Delhi to Delhi to Lahore, excuse me. And the distance actually from Delhi to Lahore is only 6 hours, right? If you go by road, it's a 6-hour journey. But this train, of course, because Indians can't do anything efficiently, is a 24-hour journey to cover the distance of a 6-hour journey. So we got onto this train. I remember it was the end of November. We were 11 of us, and we got onto this train in Delhi in the middle of the night. And well, not the middle of the night, about 7:30, 8 p.m. And we get onto this train, and the train is driving west, border bound from Delhi and into Punjab. And not a lot of people actually know this, but the Indian side of the border is actually called Atari Junction. The border, of course, is referred to as the Wagah
Yeah.
border colloquially, but the Indian side of the border is known as Atari Junction. And we rode the train from Delhi to Atari, and it was freezing, right? Because we're in the northern part of the
Whoa.
country, which we're not used to. Of course, Karachi, Bombay, have considerably more humid climates throughout the year.
Yeah.
So we're obviously not used to the Punjab climate, which is considerably cooler than what we're used to, tail end of November, 25th of November, 2006, I remember it was. And this train is ripping through the fields of Punjab, and it was frigid. And, 5, 10, 11 of us were like huddled under, one shawl that Namita was carrying. And it's not like it was a comfortable train, right? It was like wooden seats, no reserved seating. There were like goats in the compartment next to us, and there were like shepherds taking their goats to different parts of the
Of course,
state
यार
in which.
इसलिए तो उसको समझौता एक्सप्रेस ना, it's a compromise. Yeah, comfort express नहीं है ये. Yeah, please proceed.
And I remember we disembarked at Atari Junction, and we had to finish our customs and our security check and all, the international formalities that we had to conclude at the time. And it's really ironic because you think that you're passing customs and security, and the time before you did that was on an airplane when you were visiting some other first world nation or something like that.
Slightly advanced nation, yeah.
And in this, so the irony is that this train journey is broken up into 3 parts, right? It was Delhi to Atari, then Atari to Wagah, and then Wagah to Lahore. And Atari to Wagah is literally a 10-minute train ride. It's basically a train crossing no man's land. That's it. And we have to embark and disembark and get on 3 independent train journeys. And while the train journeys were difficult themselves, I think the waiting period in between those train journeys was even more painful. On one hand, of course, you've been on this train, all night long. It's been freezing. Obviously, there's a goat next to you, so there's no question of going to the bathroom on a train like this. You get off on the platform, and they want you to pass customs and immigration. And I remember, my friend Rohan and I, we had also taken some alcohol on the train journey to keep us warm. Young 18-year-old boys, obviously, everyone wants to be having a good time. And there was this one senior boy with us. I won't use his name to protect his privacy, who's like, how can you boys take alcohol into Pakistan? It's a Muslim country, it's haram in Pakistan. And we were like, no, but we're 18, we're adults, we're Indian passport holders, we're Hindus, why should be an issue? And we had bought a decent chunk of alcohol in Delhi. All the money that we had saved, we had basically bought some decent chunk of. This guy picks up the alcohol and throws it into the dustbin, I remember. And Rohan and I were so pissed off. And then we are passing security check, and you expect there to be some kind of baggage scanner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There was one Indian guard standing over there. He's like, sir, bag yahan pe rakho, bag kholo. And I was like, we're passing an international border, and this is the way they do it. And there was this girl in front of me, and I helped her pick up her bag from our group. And he's like, kholo, madam. And she opened a bag, and something must have been on the top, some lingerie or some sanitary napkin or something. He's like, kya hai, ban karo. And he zips up the bag, and he looks at us, and he figures that we're part of the same group, and he physically pushes us across the security check line. And I'm looking at this gentleman who made us throw alcohol away, saying, wow, you made us throw away all this alcohol, and he's not even checked our bags to cross the border, And that was my experience of crossing the border. But I remember, we physically crossed the platform, and we went to the platform where the second train would then take us from Atari to Wagah. And by this time, we waited on that platform for 8 hours. There's been no train. The bathroom has a goat in it, literally. So no one's going to the bathroom, not eaten anything.
Goat आ सकती है, alcohol नहीं आ सकता, ठीक है?
Exactly.
तो बकरा ही ले आते.
And, at 8 o'clock in the morning, this train comes, and there's no concept of reserve seating or anything. People are just running in and blocking seats. And Pratik and I ran in, and we're literally holding seats. Yahan pe nahi baithenge, yahan pe baithenge, blah, 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 pushing, got our bags, kept it finally. But that train ride from Atari to Wagah, I think, was one of the most breathtaking train rides in my life. So
really?
It was mid-morning, and we were exhausted. I was standing at the door of the train. Of course, there was no door, but jahan pe darwaza hona chahiye, I was standing there just to get some fresh air. And the train crosses the political border. You physically see this barbed wire, this big fence and all, and we're in no man's land, which is the border area in between India and Pakistan. And right up until we hit this border, on either side of the train, there are these 2 white stallions that are riding alongside the train. and there are these Pathan warriors who are on the stallions with their swords up in the air, riding alongside the train, protecting, people in the train, and, very ceremoniously sending them off onto their voyage. And it was such a beautiful and such a romantic experience, like everything that you hear about India and Pakistan and the heritage and the history and the blah, 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 it got encapsulated in that one Kodak moment, with these stallions on either side of the border. And I think that really, really made for the experience being worthwhile getting to, Pakistan by the Samjhauta Express and living true to its title of a train to Pakistan in that regard. Of course, then, the experience completely changed when we took the third train eventually and we landed in Lahore, because when we landed there, we were treated like royalty, We obviously had to go to the little ticket counter and get our passport stamped. And I remember these little pink tickets. I still have the ticket in my drawer, actually, I have a little bit of currency and I have the ticket still lying in my drawer from 2006. And, obviously they assume that these people are coming from India because it is the Samjhauta Express. And there was a policeman standing outside and we just started chatting. He's like, "Kahan se aa rahe ho?" So I said, "Hum Bombay se aa rahe hain." He's like, "Aap to hamare mehman hai." He didn't let us carry our bags on our own. He carried all our bags. Then we met all these Amar and all these guys. They had come with the bus. The policeman was like, "Nahi, aap nahi chadenge, hum chadenge." He climbed, he put all the bag. I thought maybe he's someone with them, they've got some guard or something like that. They were just the regular local police, and the level of, hospitality was just unreal, through the roof.
Wow.
And I think this entire journey, just kind of envisaged the facts of the matter to us, that, we keep living in this fear of crossing this border. And while I understand, of course, now the situation is very different from what it was like 15 years ago, but it was such a beautiful and romantic experience, tiring nonetheless, but such a beautiful experience that really sums up and really set the context for, our trip to Lahore. Of course, the conference was great fun. We did really well. I think we also kicked a lot of ass and won a lot of awards, but we decided that we're not going to be talking about that. And then, of course, this hospitality just kind of extended. I remember we were scheduled to be in Lahore for 1 week, or for 5 days, actually, to be precise. And we extended the trip and we ended up staying in Lahore for 16 days because we just had such a good time. And I think Amar had taken care of the passports and the reporting visa issue. And, and then you guys took us all over the city. I remember we went to that one cafe the day after the month got over. Cuckoo Cafe, is it?
Yeah, Cuckoo's Den.
Cuckoo's Den, yeah. Which is on the top of that hill.
Yeah, but more infamously, it's in the red light district.
Correct, in the red light district, I remember. And beautiful weather. I remember we were eating variety of different kebabs, and this is what we were ready for, right? To eat great food when we came to, to Lahore. And we went to the night market, and I remember Fatima and I had a gulab jamun eating competition because we found a gulab jamun vendor on the street who was making hot gulab jamuns. I ate 11 gulab jamuns that day, I remember. Oh. And I remember Rohan wanted to get some ice cream that evening, and there was this little van that pulls up ahead of the ice cream shop. And, they go running in and they clear out the entire ice cream shop for us. And we realized that, there were, some kind of police or security personnel who were actually clearing out the ice cream shop for our safety, to ensure that there's no security threat while we come and consume ice cream in the ice cream shop. And that was a level of detailing and planning to ensure that, there was safety of guests maintained. And, of course, we had a lot of fun when we were there as well, and, not getting into that as well. But I think it was just a, eye-opening experience on one hand, in terms of how people are so similar, cultures are so similar. The hospitality was extended to Indians, even though the maximum number of, how should I say, the maximum amount of animosities also could be directed in our direction. And, the maximum number of stares also could have come in our direction. But we were, in fact, greeted and welcomed with hospitality as opposed to animosity. And it was such an eye-opening experience for us in that regard. And whether it was a food, music, culture, so many similarities that we saw between because we are the same people at the end of the day, right? We're cut from the same cloth. It's just this stupid border pulled, 70 odd years ago, 73 years ago. That's, that makes us different from what we were 74 years ago in that regard. I'm sure you guys must have had a very similar experience when you traveled to Bombay as well a few years ago.
Yeah, so the beginning was slightly different. So no like Pathans on horses. At least I didn't notice them, but I did. Just for context, so the college that we were in, Lums, right? So Lums was the conference that you guys had come in. उसमें मेरा कोई MUN से as such I wasn't really good at it or anything. मगर वो तब भी मुझे थोड़ा सा कीड़ा था, तो मैंने उनके लिए पता नहीं कुछ लोगो वोगो डिजाइन किया था. So as a way of paying back to all the back office people like myself, they said, जो बाकी सब लोगों को पता नहीं कहाँ कहाँ भेजा ना, कोई टर्की गया, कोई यूरोप गया, कोई कहीं और गया, तो हम जो बाकी बेचारे बच्चे बच गए उनको उन्होंने बोला चलो यार तुम लोग को इंडिया भेजते हैं. ओह नो प्रॉब्लम, जबरदस्त. So it was actually, to be honest, it was my first international trip. उससे पहले तो मैंने पासपोर्ट सिर्फ SAT के लिए बनवाया था. So वो पहला मेरा उस पर स्टैंप लगा. अभी तक मुझे वो, जब मैं कहीं भी घूमने जाता हूँ तो मुझे पहले बोलते हैं पुराना पासपोर्ट भी लेके जाना पड़ता है. तो मुझसे पूछते इंडिया गए थे तुम? So nonetheless, so we went through the same train as well, the Samjhauta Express. I do recall some of the things that Subir is talking about in terms of, it wasn't exactly the most comfortable train in the world. Oh, there's a passport. Nice. Oh, Subir is showing me his visa. Oh, bahar nikal ke bhai, props ready hai Subir ke paas. Too bad it's audio only. Anyway, so we also had a very uncomfortable journey in there. हमने तुम लोग ने जाके शायद ऑफिस में ऑफिशियली वो डिप्लोमेटिक वीजा करवाया. ये डिप्लोमेटिक वीजा है, राइट?
Well, this
इस पे कुछ
says
लिखा होता है?
Ministry of Lahore, but that's all it
बस
says. But I'll
काफी
show
है
you
ना.
the diplomatic visa as well. है कहीं पे तो है. I'll find it.
सही है. So हमारा इतना ऑफिशियल नहीं था, टू बी ऑनेस्ट. तो हमारे ग्रुप में एक बंदा था, उसका कोई जानने वाला था. हमें उसको कहा कि भाई हमें ये रिपोर्टिंग वाला चक्कर नहीं करना. So somehow we managed to sidestep that bit. Otherwise, everybody that goes into India and Pakistan, they have to go through that whole reporting every 3 days in a police station, right? So nonetheless, the 3 cities that we went to were Bombay, Delhi, and Agra. And we landed in Bombay. And I remember our initial first couple of hours were a little weird because पहले तो वो जो ट्रेन उसमें ही हमारी स्टेशंस ब्लोन अवे हो गई ना. तो पहले वो समझौता एक्सप्रेस तो बहुत ही मनहूस थी, but at least it got us across the border. But once we got into India, the train service was like freaking fantastic, man. Like इतनी hospitality, मतलब वो नींद में से मुझे जगा के, सर उठे अब नाश्ता करें. मैंने नाश्ता नहीं करना. सर उठे अब सौंफ खा लें. सर उठे अब साबुन से हाथ धो लें. इतना they were so persistent in making sure we get all the experience. So it was a very very eye opening. We were not used to very, at least at that time, train experiences in Pakistan weren't so good.
Right.
So anyway, we end up in Bombay, and Suvir and his crew take us to this hotel. Suvir, you remember?
Yeah,
and this hotel just मैं वैसे ही पैरानॉइड हूँ. बाकी चीजें मैं एडवर्टाइजर तो हूँ, एग्जैजरेट तो कर सकता हूँ ना. तो वैसे ही मुझे अनमार्क्ड सेडान नजर आने शुरू हो गई कि कोई हमें फॉलो कर रहा है. खैर हम पहली होटल में गए. आई थिंक इट्स what was the hotel's name? I forget. Nonetheless, so we go there and they don't let us in. So they don't book us in because they say, oh, तुम लोग तो पाकिस्तानी हो.
It was the
तो उसी वक्त मेरा
Travelers Inn.
Travelers Inn, yeah, something generic like that.
Yeah.
So उसी वक्त मैंने सोचा, ओ भैंस, इनको तो पता चल गया, वो अनमार्क्ड सेडान भी आ गई, हमें आने भी नहीं दे रहे, अब तो पट गई, अब यहीं हम रह जाएंगे. ओह नो, इंटरनेशनल इशू हो गया. बट देन सुवीर सेव्ड द डे. सुवीर took us to us. उस वक्त भी सुवीर इतना वेल कनेक्टेड इंडिविजुअल था, थैंक्स टू हिज सिंधी रूट्स, कि his friend had a hotel conveniently. He's like, no problem, मैं तुम लोग को अपने दोस्त के होटल लेके जाता हूँ. और वहां से हमें बोर्डिंग लॉजिंग दी. बट अदरवाइज बॉम्बे, मैन, व्हाट अ सिटी. सीरियसली, सुवीर, आई एम श्योर, जैसे मैं कराची को थोड़ा सा अप्रिशिएट करता हूँ, इतना ज्यादा नहीं करता. आई एम श्योर यू डू द सेम थिंग विद बॉम्बे. बट मैन, I just remember those couple of nights that are very vivid in my head. So it was raining, cobbled streets. It's like to the Pakistani listeners who are on this show. Bombay is like a slightly scaled up version of Karachi, right? So जो सारी जो पुरानी buildings हम देखते हैं ब्रिटिश एरा की सदर में, समझे उसकी 4-5 times बड़ी वैसी किस्म की चीजें are scattered all across Bombay, and they have kick-ass train system that goes everywhere and whatnot, right? So it's just, I fell in love with those streets, with those rain speeds. I remember, I don't know if एक मेरे ज़हन में वो कोलाबा वाला area याद है, because it was
Correct.
Leopold's Cafe, I think.
That's
which was
right.
which then was under controversy as well, because there were attacks there. I remember Taj Hotel. I remember
Correct.
all of these places. They're simply fantastic, man. It was a lot of fun. And we had, from everywhere we went, I felt same sort of sense of hospitality everywhere that we went, right? So first of all, because by the way, Suvir and I are both like beach nuts. So the Bombay ki jo coastline, it's called the Queen's Necklace, right? So it's in this sort of U
That's
shop.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really interesting. And then यार वो वहाँ पे क्या चौपती पे जो कुल्फी थी, oh crazy यार, वो कुल्फी मतलब that's supposed to be, that was so good. I can't find that anywhere in Pakistan. So, otherwise, like wherever we went, so obviously we went to Delhi as well. We went to Agra. Those things were nice as well. But I really resonated with Bombay. And, even to this day, when I speak to my wife, I wish this whole thing, right? So it's 83 kilometers, but, we can't go there because there's an invisible wall. Well, not an invisible wall, like a very big border. But it's very difficult for us to go to each other's countries. But, if it wasn't, I think it'd be a really cool idea if more people can visit from here to there, right? So I remember a couple of things that really stood out, apart from obviously the Chopati Kulfi, the Bombay biryani from Bombay. Oh, man, itni mirchi thi usme. Some hole in the wall sort of place that I remember Namrata took us. और वहां पे मैंने जिंदगी में पहली दफा पाव भाजी खाई थी. भाजी मतलब सब्जी तो मैं खाता ही नहीं था यार, अभी भी नहीं खाता. मगर वो जो मैंने खाई was unbelievable. It was so good. I'm hungry about it right now. Then I remember I don't know if these guys were playing a trick on us or what. तो एक दिन they really hyped us up. यार हम तुम लोग को चोर बाजार लेके जाते हैं. अच्छा, I hadn't seen too much. Well, I had seen my share of Indian content. So मैंने जब सुना मैं बॉम्बे में हूँ और ये लोग हमें चोर बाजार लेके जा रहे हैं, तो मैंने तो बिल्कुल ना वो अंडरवर्ल्ड टाइप किस्म का सोचा हुआ था कि वहाँ पे डॉन्स बैठे होंगे, वो रिंग्स पहने हुए होंगे और बहुत शेडी शिट हो रही होगी. So और इन्होंने बोला भी है ना, रात के 2 बजे आके हमें उठाते हैं कि जी नहीं यही टाइम है चोर बाजार जाने का. चलो पांचों boys. So anyway, we go there and yeah, so they had underpriced Nikes. Not the sort of like underworld like treasure that I was looking for. It was an interesting experience nonetheless. I'm sure there's a story behind it as well.
Of course. No, of course, absolutely. I think the Chor Bazaar by day and Chor Bazaar by night is a completely different scene. And the Chor Bazaar by day is exactly what you expect. They're like things from literally the British Zamana. And you find like antiques, furniture, chests, record players, LPs, light fittings, dining tables from the English Zamana, etc. You find really exotic stuff, and there are people who have like karkhanas and warehouses that are filled with stuff, and your interior designer will take you and you'll go shopping and you'll buy light fittings from yesteryears and install them in your house to like get the vintage look and feel going. Magar, all that shuts in the evening, and in the night, in fact, just specifically on Thursday nights, we had actually gone on Thursday night, and they open up the shoe market, and actually the ships that bring the imported shoes into the country, they dock in the city, and those ships get raided, and a bunch of the shoes get stolen. And they come into a Date Gully in Chor Bazaar, where they have a morning market to sell, shoes, Chori Kamal shoes, and that's where we had actually gone specifically to check out the shoe bazaar in Chor Bazaar.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something, Suvir, like you said, there's a specific context, right? So, for example, वो माल dispose off होना है और उसका कोई तरीका, कोई उसका जुगाड़ निकालना है, which is where I think the concept of Chor Bazaar comes in. And I feel like just like this जुगाड़ thing, for example, this word जुगाड़, ये मैं किसी गोरे को समझा नहीं पाता. Like जुगाड़ is not a hack, it's not a shortcut. It's just like this slightly shady way to actually do things more efficiently. But I just can't explain it. So I'm sure there are tons of similarities that we share as Indians and Pakistanis, and we just don't realize that they're a part of our identity. हम अगर बाहर कहीं जाते हैं तो फिर हमें वो होता है. So what do you think some of those things are?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jugaad is definitely one of them, right? And Jugaad, easiest way to explain it to non-desis is the hustle, right? It's like the hustle.
Okay, fine.
To all our non-desi listeners. But no, like for example, bargaining, that's a typically South Asian thing, right? No matter where you go. Yeah. And you see the similarity specifically like when you get out of the country and you see another brown guy. It doesn't make a difference whether he's Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, whatever. You see a guy bargaining and he's a South Asian, he's a desi more or less. And I think that's a very typical trait. I'm sure you guys must have seen that as well.
Yeah, but I'm notoriously bad at it. So even like a couple of days ago, I had to go get something for Nile from the toy shop, right? So now, we're trying not to expose, him to environments right now because of COVID and all. So वो मुझे जाके toy shop से अंदर से लेना था. Toy shop जो है वो थोड़ा सा मतलब वो toy market थी ना. It was like upscale shop. But मैं भी बचपन से वहीं से लेता. So my wife specifically instructed me. देखो जितने का भी वो बोले ना, उसको तुम 40% उसके बोलना. अगर वो बोले 2000 का है तो उसको 900 रुपए का बोलना. And then like walk away at this certain point. She gave me really specific instructions. Anyway, I go in. Apparently, everybody is really good at it. I'm not. So he could see it on my face that this guy, इसको बस ये लेना है. So I'm like, नहीं, अच्छा ये 2000 का है, मैं इसके 900 में. सर ये सिर्फ 1800 का हो सकता है. अच्छा यार दे दे. I come out and I get schooled by my wife, but this is something that we share over and above. And then there's what else do we do? हाँ, सुट्टा मारते हैं हम.
Maybe that's another one as well. Maybe the women wearing the pants in the relationship post marriage is another one.
No comment. No comment.
What about punctuality? Desis are always late. Never managed to keep a schedule.
हाँ ये तो है. नहीं मगर in this case मतलब for example ये podcast भी हम अगर सुवीर कैलेंडर इनवाइट नहीं भेजता तो मैं लेट आता और मैं कोई बहाना बनाता. मगर ये है हमें यार we can't help it man. ये मगर हम गोरों से सीखते हैं थोड़ा थोड़ा करके कि कोई बात नहीं 10 मिनट से बहुत डिफरेंस हो सकता है. But we are sort of we are like that. And then what else do we have?
Shadi? We both have
yeah, shadi.
Big, loud, noisy, happy weddings where the whole family and the whole community is involved.
हाँ. So in our case, I'm not a big shadi goer person. Like I got married, like you said, tragically early I got married. And all of my friends, I told them, यार हाँ सब मेरी शादी पे डांस करने आए हैं. वो हमारे यहाँ मेन जो younger lot के लिए function होता है वो मेहंदी होती है, right? So मेहंदी is where you dance and have a bit of rasam and that's the main thing. And फिर वो एक proper शादी होती है, which is the the nikah and whatnot. And then walima is this celebratory thing after that. तो वो मेहंदी में बाकी मेरे सारे दोस्त तो आ गए नाच गाने के लिए. उसके बाद जब भी उनकी सारी एक एक की होगी शादी हुई, very secretly मैं बस उनकी शादी में नहीं किया. So yeah, but ये तीन functions होते हैं. What's it like on your end?
Yeah, it's the same. So we have the mehndi, which is coupled with a sangeet, which is the Nach Gana, etc. for the younger, the younger lot, the younger generation. And the sangeet has all the music. And of course, I think one fundamental difference is that Indian sangeets are flowing with alcohol. And people drink a lot and dance and enjoy. And then, of course, you have the wedding, and then you got the reception, which I would imagine is the celebration post the wedding. And then they do this thing called the bidai, where they say goodbye to the bride and they send her away into her marital home.
Oh, we call it a rukhsati. We call it a rukhsati. Yeah, bidai rukhsati. ठीक है.
And then everyone cries.
ये तो होता है. If you're not caught crying, like, यार किस किस्म के आदमी है तो? I'm getting married. I'm also crying. I'm getting married. नहीं यार मेरी बीवी भी ये podcast सुनेगी, वो बहुत मारेगी. Anyway, so what about language? Like, I'm sure we have some. Like, for example, when I remember, I thought perhaps it was the way I spoke, but when I was in Bombay, no, actually when I was in Delhi, I don't remember. I could, people could sense that I was not from around there simply from the way I spoke, right? So, for example, मैं उनको भाईजान बोल रहा था, वो भैया कह रहे थे, ऐसा कोई चक्कर था. So, what are these sort of like, what are these sort of words that are part of the street language that you want to call someone? What do you call like?
So, well, yeah, urban word is bro, right? That's you refer to people as bro right from college. What's up, bro?
थोड़ा वो dated नहीं हो गया? अब bro बोलते हैं तो ऐसे like douchebag feeling नहीं आती, bro.
I don't know. I guess we grew up in the 90s. नहीं मगर bro मगर like नहीं तो on the streets of Bombay you say bhai, you say yaar. Yaar is a very common one. क्या हो रहा है यार? Boss is your boss is a very common one. Like boss started when you started taking taxis. Boss, यहाँ पे जाओगे, boss वहाँ पे जाओगे. Boss became very common. So like bro, bhai, yaar, boss are like common across the country. But then as you go to different parts of the country, they become slightly more specific. Like if you go to Chennai, then people say Anna. Anna means elder brother, but Anna is also like bro, basically. You use it casually.
Okay.
In Bangalore, like in Karnataka, they say macha. So macha is like friend. Like what are you doing, macha? Like what's up, friend? Like what's up, bro? Same connotation. I guess because India has so many languages, they've got so many iterations for the same word. But the good thing is that now anywhere you go in the country, everyone understands everything. So, like there'll be a Delhi kid in Bangalore and people will be saying macha and everyone will understand it, and vice versa, Bhaijan is also common as well. Like I have a lot of friends who refer to me as Bhaijan when we meet them, and we refer to them as Bhaijan. But that's thoda, formal and thoda khatirdari ke saath and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Casually, I think it's not a casual term. It's a thoda bhari term that people use.
No, man, I'll try to like work up matcha into my conversation from now. Yo, what's up, matcha? देखता हूँ कैसा response आता है.
Yeah, now matcha's
And then
become
there's
huh.
money, mal, बढ़िया. You एक point पे मैंने by the way listeners वो सुवीर को एक ad बना रहे थे वो भेजा मैंने और इसका एक one word response आया. मैं ऐसे ही भरम मारा था क्योंकि हमने वो बड़ा FMCG big Unilever type client का ad था. तो मैं सुवीर को भेजा ऐसे ही बस भरम मारने के लिए. तो सुवीर ने one word response दिया और लिखा होता है BADIYA and I could not get it because we don't say बढ़िया here in Pakistan. The first thing I read was bad ya. I'm like what? ये मैं इसको अपना ad भेज रहा हूँ ये कह रहा है bad यार ये क्या चक्कर है? So it took me a while to figure it out that this is a thing. So that will chalk that one up to a difference, yeah. And then I just wanted to like this is something that I put in as well. So we say stuff like I'm pretty used to saying stuff like katao yaar chodo या stuff like chal hut और एक वो आजकल की लिंगो में वो आता है वो सिर्फ वो 3 हैप्पी बर्थडे का HBD होता है ना ऐसे ही वो आता है JBH जो बात है. So is that the same? Like, do you use these sort of things there?
We say JMD, Jai Mata Di.
What does that mean?
Jai Mata Di is like Mata is the goddess. So Jai means you're worshipping the goddess. But while it's not a religious phrase, we use it in celebration. Like we win a pitch, we're going for a pitch. We say Jai Mata Di. It's become a colloquialism now. Like you're worshipping the goddess for good luck.
So ये JBH जो बात है नहीं है common, right? जो बात है.
नहीं.
तो जो बात है means जो बात है मेरे सब बहुत सारे employees जो हैं वो use कर रहे थे तो फिर मुझे उसका अंदाजा हुआ. जो बात है is like saying true that. Like we say yeah this client is a pain in the butt. Like JBH जो बात है true that. तो वो I'm beginning to learn these things as well. We'll chalk that one to a difference as well.
I guess this is all Gen Z, yeah.
Gen Z यार ये क्या scene है?
This is a sign that we're getting old.
Yeah, true that.
No, I mean, it's a lot of similarities, I guess, in the way we speak, of course, because Hindi and Urdu are so similar to each other and, stem from the same roots, so as to speak. But I'm sure we're going to find several other similarities in our language and our etymology, obviously in our culture, in our food, in our heritage. And, as we go down the road of exploring further the similarities and differences, during this podcast, we'll find several more such examples that I'm sure we can celebrate and find interesting stories behind each of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the purpose of us doing this here. Maga, since this is going to be the first episode, I'd like to put something across. So, ये मैंने सुवीर से ही सीखा है. So there are a lot of value judgments that at least I'll be making while recording these podcasts, right? Whether it's like saying Sindhis ऐसे हैं या Pakistani ऐसे हैं या Indians ऐसे हैं, ये common है, ये common नहीं है. So sometimes if I make a mistake, I'll just chalk it up. तो सुवीर ने मुझे सिखाया कि अगर ऐसा गलती हो जाए, so you just say यार मेरे producer ने मुझे गलत brief किया. So just putting this disclaimer out there in case. But overarchingly, our theme, like getting back to the point, overarchingly our theme here is that we're not, both of us do not decline the fact that there are no differences. There are differences, but those differences are to be celebrated, and the similarities are there. If we were exactly the same, it wouldn't be fun to talk to each other. We need to have some differences there, but those differences are not necessarily those that require for us to draw an arbitrary border, and not arbitrary, but at least जैसे हम जुदा अलग ये सारा दुश्मन narrative and all of that. I think it's not very relevant, at least for our generation and younger. At least we should be able to collaborate, know each other. हम बाहर भी तो जाते हैं. It's not necessarily we figure it out. We appreciate those things. So similarly, as Indians and Pakistani, as a representative of India in the case of Suveer and of Pakistan in my case, this podcast is a running experiment. As we take on guests from comedy, from music, from sports, from wherever, right? We take them on and we try to get both sides into the equation. We don't want to start a shouting match. It's actually to be able to find those similarities and differences in each thing and put them in the culture, in the context of culture, creativity, and content. So that is what 883 to Infinity is all about. And Suvir, you have some parting words as we
Yeah,
wrap up our
absolutely.
first
No, very
episode.
glad that everyone could kind of log into our first episode of 83 to Infinity. And like Omer said, of course, cognizant of the fact that we've got political ideological differences and we've gone to war in the past. There's still skirmishes at the border. I think not taking away from the reality of the situation here. I think the intention is open up the dialogue, get the youth to start talking to each other, celebrate the differences, and we are united at the end of the day by ethnicity, by race, by culture, by food, by music. And that's what we're here to explore today.
Awesome. Great. So stay tuned, guys, and look forward to our next episodes.
Yes.